Good evening and welcome to the Board of Commissioners regular meeting. Today is Wednesday, May the 14th, 2025. It is 6 p.m. City Attorney, would you please lead us in the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. Our Heavenly Father, we come humbly before you to ask your divine guidance and help in our deliberations this evening. Bless the members of the Commission and the citizens that are present. We pray that our work this evening will find favor in your sight. This we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Brooks.
Here.
Vice Mayor Kerr.
Here.
Commissioner Tagliarini.
Here.
Commissioner McGinn.
Here.
Commissioner Gavayi.
Here.
All are present.
Next on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Is your item on here already? Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda unless.
Doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Okay.
Second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Vice Mayor Kerr.
Yes.
Commissioner Tagliarini.
Yes.
Commissioner Gavayi.
Yes.
Commissioner McGinn.
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
Next on the agenda is proclamations. National Safe Boating Week is May 17th through 23rd this year. For nearly 90 million Americans, boating continues to be a popular recreational activity. From coast to coast and everywhere in between, people are taking to the water and enjoying time together boating, sailing, paddling, and fishing. During National Safe Boating Week, we want to bring special attention to this pastime and remind recreational boaters of a few tips to ensure that they and their loved ones are safe and responsible while exploring our nation's waterways. Proper planning for a day of boating begins even before leaving home and getting a free vessel safety check, taking a safe boating course at the beginning of boating season, filing a float plan with a trusted family member or friend, and checking the weather before boating are key steps to enjoying boating. Everyone should always wear a U.S. Coast Guard approved life jacket while boating. Drowning remains the #1 cause of death for recreational boaters each year, and most drowning victims in recreational boating accidents are not wearing a life jacket. Safe and responsible boating includes never operating a boat while under the influence of drugs or alcohol and knowing basic navigation rules. National Safe Boating Week is observed to bring attention to important life-saving tips for recreational boaters to have a safer, more fun experience out on the water. Whereas an average 700 people die each year in boating-related accidents in the U.S., approximately 3/4 of these are fatalities caused by drowning. The vast majority of these accidents are caused by human error or poor judgment and not by the boat, equipment, or environmental factors. And whereas a significant number of boaters who lose their lives by drowning would be alive today had they worn their life jacket. And whereas to combat these statistics, the National Safe Boating Council, in partnership with the U.S. Coast Guard and the National Association of State Boating Law Administrators, will launch the annual North American Safe Boating Campaign during National Safe Boating Week. The campaign is designed to reach more than 70 million boaters around North America and communicates this year's life-saving message: boat smart, boat safe, wear it. And now, therefore, I, Anne Marie Brooks, Mayor of the City of Madeira Beach, Florida, do hereby support the goals of the North American Safe Boating Campaign and proclaim May 17th through May 23rd, 2025 as National Safe Boating Week and urge all boaters to boat smart, boat safe, and wear it. Proclaimed this 14th day of May, 2025. Next on the agenda is presentations. With no presentations, we will move to public comment. Public participation is encouraged. If you are addressing the commission, step to the podium and state your name and address for the record and the organization or group you represent. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes and do not include any topic on the agenda. Public comment on agenda items will be allowed when they come up. If you would like someone at the city to follow up on a comment or question made at the meeting, you may fill out a comment card with the contact information and give it to the city manager. Comment cards are available at the back table in the commission chambers. Completing a comment card is not mandatory. For any quasi-judicial public hearings that might be on the agenda, an affected person may become a party to a quasi-judicial proceeding and can be entitled to present evidence at the hearing, including the sworn testimony of witnesses and relevant exhibits and other documentary evidence, and to cross-examine all witnesses by filing a notice of intent to be a party with the Community Development Director not less than 5 days prior to the hearing. Do we have any public comment?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for the opportunity to address the city leaders. My name is John Van Hove. I live on Johns Pass Avenue, 585. I know Ray really well, the commissioner. I'm meeting the rest of you for the first time tonight, so howdy, I'm John. In 2011, I retired from the U.S. Air Force, and very shortly thereafter found a job in Pinellas County and bought a house in Madeira Beach. And since then, I've been enjoying the good life right here in Madeira Beach, and all went well until last fall. I'm not going to get any sympathy here because I think most of us are in the same boat. But my life and the life of my family was turned upside down. We've been camped out in a broken house with no AC for 6-8 months, trying to work on repairs and renovations. In addition to renovating our home, we contracted with a company to elevate our home to mitigate flood risk. And that's what I'm here to talk about today. For the past 2 or 3 months, we've been working with this company to develop plans and kind of go over all the details of our elevation project, and then take those plans to an engineer to get engineered building plans to submit a permit. My permit was submitted a week ago on the 7th of May, and very anxious, I went online to check the status of my permit this week. I found out, not surprisingly, that the permit hadn't made any progress. It's only been 7 days. But to take a look at how much time I had to look forward to wait for the permit to be applied, I pulled all the information I could on similar permit applications from the building department's website. I found 20 permits that have been applied for in the last 14 months. And of those 20 permit applications, 2 have been issued permits. I gave Ms. Clara the results of my search to share with you for you to take a look at. But 2 of those permits have been approved and permits have been issued. 14 are in a pending review status, and 4, including my own, haven't been looked at yet. There's still permits submitted, but it hasn't transitioned to a pending permit just yet. So I did a little bit of asking around. I found out that these same permits in Treasure Island are being turned in a day or 2, that many municipalities have come up with ways to outsource and contract with independent engineering review companies to get these things expedited and turned a little bit. And my purpose for coming and talking with you today is just to bring it to the attention of city leadership that these permits are lingering for 6-8 months. And we need to determine a way to expedite this process through some kind of innovation so that we can break ground on some of these projects and get these homes elevated before the next storm threatens our community. That's all that I had to say, and I thank you for your time and attention. Do I sit down, or is there any question here?
If I might.
Please.
The way this all works is it's not a question-answer period. Typically, you come up, you get 5 minutes to speak, and you don't really get any feedback right away. Now, the mayor brought up a great idea that at the end of the meeting, we can discuss all this, but I've had some opportunity to work on this a little bit and get some answers through Robin's help and the city staff. So with your permission, I'd like to just give an update of what I know. So I did, Jenny Silver, she sent a spreadsheet, and it appears that all the permits that are that you have listed here, they were responded to, and they're basically pending questions back from the contractor. So on each one, she gave a highlight of everything going on, with the exception of the last 4 that are new. Now, in your defense, what you want to know is what time period am I looking at to actually get some feedback so that I can make plans. Summer's coming up. I need to either air condition my home permanently and then unair condition my home during the lifting process, or get window shakers and put them in the window. Anyway, it's thousands of dollars to air condition the home. You just need to understand if that's something you need to do because you're going to be living there for 3 months because it's going through the permit process, or if this is going to be a 3-week period. So I'm giving the background to what's going on a little bit. So what I would suggest is that you can speak with Robin tomorrow, maybe give him a call. He may be, I'm speaking for you, Robin, I don't know, maybe you can get an update on how long you can expect to get some feedback. With your home, it's pretty simple because you're just lifting it straight up. It may have some questions about setbacks with where you're going to put the air conditioners. It still fit into the same setbacks you have, that sort of thing. I'm not going to get into the particulars. But from the feedback that I have, it should be weeks, like I think we had talked about before, that 3-week.
I know my contractor does a lot of these jobs, and I think they had a sit-down meeting with the city manager and kind of talked about what needs to be done to expedite the process so they won't hit any snags. And so I think they waited a week before submitting my permit because they went back to my engineer and did some things on the plan to make sure it wasn't going to hit a snag in the process.
Most of these, it looks like that's the delay, and I see some of these are months and months and months out. But it appears, based on the comments that Jenny provided, that it has to do with getting responses back from the contractors. So, and whether the complete plans were totally reviewed in the beginning versus just, okay, we have an issue and kicking it back. So, I would just stay on top.
Yeah, well, I'm proactive. I'm here.
Yep.
Talking to you great people, and I will stay on the back of my contractor to make sure that if they get feedback from the city and something needs to be done,
answered.
they turn it quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I appreciate your time, and it was really nice to meet everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks much.
Thank you.
Do we have any additional public comment?
Sarah Nichols, 522 Johns Pass Avenue. We have a theme. I'd like to thank Commissioner Ray Kerr, City Manager Robin Gomez, and also Barb Scott for her assistance in this matter. I applied for an update to my interior renovation permit on April 11th. The city did ask for some files to be resubmitted, and that was my fault, but that was completed by 4:15. At that point, we were in a queue, and that's fair. I understand, first come, first served, and that queue can can be long. But I was surprised at how long it could be. And I was stunned to hear that there was only one person in the city who can approve building permits. And when that person is out of the office, as happened in this case, those permits are allowed to just backlog. As it turns out, I thought that our permit had not been approved when I emailed Ray. As it turns out, our permit had been approved. It had been approved for almost a week. It had not been updated on the website. I had not received an email. It still showed pending on the website. But I received the information from Barb, and I went to the website, but I didn't have a new placard to put up in the house. I assumed that I would get a new placard since we had added work. So I emailed Barb, and she told me it would be on the website. It's not. And I informed her that, told her how I had searched the website. So she sent me a placard, which is great. It was very helpful, but it was the original placard. So I have emailed her again, but it was after office hours, and I would not expect her to be there and respond to that. So I'm hoping that we'll get a new one very soon. The whole point of this, other than being grateful for your help, is that I know the entire beach area and other areas are very busy. But surely some municipalities are more busy than others. So I would think that a mutual aid agreement or something like this gentleman suggested would be able to help out. Some municipalities will have a larger department than others. So with us only having one person who can sign the permits, maybe other municipalities will be able to help out, especially when she goes out of town. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any further public comment? Then we will move on to the approval of the minutes. If the commission has had the opportunity to review the minutes, are there any changes? If not, do we have a motion?
I'm unaware of any changes. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Do we
I'll
have a
second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Vice Mayor Kerr,
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan,
Yes.
Commissioner Taglerini,
Yes.
Commissioner Gavalle,
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
Next is the consent agenda. I will read the items that are on the consent agenda. A is the ITB 25-05 Area 3 Roadway and Drainage Improvement Project Approval. Item B, Joint Participation Agreement with Pinellas County for Area 3 Roadway and Drainage Improvement Project. Item C, the Interlocal Agreement for Storm Debris Management Site Utilization. And item D, Amendment to the Kimley-Horn Agreement for the Master Plan. Any member of the Board of Commissioners can ask to pull a consent item for separate discussion and vote. Would anyone like to pull anything from our consent agenda?
No.
No.
Do we have a motion?
I have one
You-
quick question. I mean, would we have to pull it in order to,
I believe so.
all right.
That's correct. It should be pulled. Should be pulled. So you pull the item, and then we would entertain a motion to approve the other three, and then come back to discuss that one particular item.
All right, so what I'd like to do, I'd like to pull item A and D.
A and D?
Yes.
We will remove A and D. Do we have a motion to approve B and C?
I move that we approve B and C.
Do we have a second?
Second?
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Taglerini,
Yes.
Commissioner Gavalle,
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kerr,
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
So then, Mr. Trask, the correct thing now would be to talk about A and talk about D?
So it would be to entertain the questions of Commissioner Gavahi as to agenda item number A.
Yes, so typically for projects, there are two types of bonds that are issued. One is a surety and one is maintenance bond. All I see is just one bond. Do we have both bonds? A surety meaning,
We currently just have the one. We will check on the second one.
okay.
If it's required, we will obtain it before anything continues.
Thank you. And I mean, I'll be glad to discuss that a little bit more. A surety bond is basically for the contractor during construction. If they go out of business, God forbid, then that bond will allow us to cash it in and finish it. And of course, maintenance bond is typically 2 to 3 years after construction is done, to be sure that there's no defect and all the construction still is operational. So those are the two bonds that typically are issued.
So would you want to make a motion to approve based on the bond, which bond it is not included, do you know?
I do not.
Yeah, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to approve item number 1.
A.
Item A.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. 9A with the review of both bonds, a surety and maintenance.
Second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Gabay,
Yes.
Commissioner Taglerini,
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kerr,
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
Next on the agenda would be D, the amendment to the Kimley-Horn Agreement. Your concerns, Commissioner?
Yes, so 9D, just not quite sure about the scope of work and how we would be paying for the services. So I think it's kind of open. Just wanted to discuss that a little bit and see if we can somewhat pinpoint a certain scope of work and any sort of a limit to their services. Right now, it looks open-ended.
So I think Jenny can probably speak to this.
Yes, hello. So this amendment to the Kimley-Horn Agreement is to do on more of the planning side, implementing the master plan and anything that comes from the master plan. This might look like an amendment to the land development regulations. I know that there's been a lot of discussion on parking and relooking at our parking credits. Maybe there's extra parking credits for EV parking, things like that, just like what we were talking about earlier in the meeting, our planning department, building department, we're extremely busy with all the permits, so we really don't have time to make any of these changes right now. So this just kind of allows us another avenue that Kimley-Horn can come and help us with amending any of the LDRs and things that come from the master plan. In the community development budget, we do have a budget line item that's professional services, and we do have quite a bit of amount. I think we have 85,000 left. So I would imagine all of those would come, any amendments, they would come out of that line item with community development.
So do you know how much we would be dedicating to this particular scope of work?
What I foresee.
Let me just jump in. There is no scope of work at this point. What it is this is just an amendment to the agreement to allow other scopes of services to be done in the future. So that if there is an additional scope of service, it would have to come back before you. It would have to be approved as to what's in the scope, what the cost would be. If you don't approve it, Well, then it doesn't go
Actually, I'm
forward.
comfortable with that. I just wanted to make sure at some point we are able to see what we're paying and what we're getting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the reason for the request for the agreement.
Yes. So
Language I would direct your attention to under paragraph 2, we're amending section 6.1.1.1, too many ones. The mutually agreed upon lump sum as detailed in each scope of service. So that's just telling us we're amending the agreement to allow other scopes of services, but they would have to be approved.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just
Oh,
thought I would
that's fine.
try to get to, okay.
Thank you.
So Tom, we haven't used the consent agenda in the past, and I did not ask for any public comment. I should have asked for public comment. So I'd like to ask if we have any public comment on the items that are on the consent agenda. Okay, with no public comment on that, do we have a motion for consent agenda item D?
I move we pass consent agenda item D.
Do we have a second?
A second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Taglerini,
Yes.
Commissioner Gavalli,
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kerr,
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
Next on the agenda is public hearings, ordinance 2025-13, the fee manual update, first reading and public hearing. I will hand this to our city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to go ahead and read this ordinance by title only. Ordinance 2025-13, an ordinance of the City of Madeira Beach, Florida, adopting a revised Appendix A, Fees and Collection Procedures Manual of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Madeira Beach, Florida, to provide for the changes to the rates of overnight parking and city development fees and reword certain development services, repealing Ordinance 2025-12, providing for conflict, providing for codification and severability, and providing for an effective date. That was the first reading of ordinance 2025-13 by title only, and I believe all of the changes are set forth in strikeout underline format so that you can see the changes made in the manual. I'm not sure if Andrew or anyone else has any additional comments.
Do we have any public comment?
So I have a few changes from the last BOC workshop, and you can see that starting on page 112, anything that's highlighted in yellow, that's the change from the last BOC workshop. So as you can see, the miscellaneous fees, J, the private provider permit fee, I just reworded that. I know we were talking about the wording last BOC workshop. So same content, different wording to make it a little bit more clear, that permit fees are reduced by 10% and not to exceed the maximum reduction of $10,000 per permit. And then the next page on 113, I added in after the fact, added a 5 and a 10 that wasn't in there before, so I just added that. And then in C, adding that whole C, and I brought this from watching the discussion and what we were talking about at the last BOC workshop. So post-disaster after the fact permit fees, they may be issued at 0%, but that has to be approved by the Board of Commissioners. And then I reference that section with the 0% permit fee. And then however, any post-disaster work starting without a permit, even if the permit is otherwise free, will be charged a penalty of 5 times the standard permit fee. So that is a change, and I think that those are the only changes from the last BOC workshop. Just those two.
Commission, any questions or comments?
Except for the highlighted areas, it's what we discussed at the workshop, and we also discussed those changes, so
Yes.
it's all very clear.
Yeah, I like, excuse me, I like what you did there with the clarification on the post-disaster. That's
Great,
perfect.
thanks.
Thank you.
No comment.
Thank you.
So the only thing I would like to talk about is I think that the paragraph is fantastic. I liked it a lot when I read it. But for clarification for the public, I think it'd be mindful of us to do some public notices because the day we do the second reading, any person who's done work without a permit is going to be subject to these fines. And that was what we talked about. So I think it would be very important to make sure that we do a full press campaign so that residents are aware if they do not get in between now and our second reading and apply for a permit, they're going to be subject to these fines. And hopefully that will motivate the people, and the people who choose to not come in and do the right thing, then they will be penalized with the fines.
It's a great idea.
Yes,
Yes.
great idea. Great.
So do we have a motion?
Motion to approve ordinance 2025-13, fee manual update, first reading.
Do we have a second?
A second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Gabayey?
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kerr?
Yes.
Commissioner Taglerini?
Yes.
Mayor Brooks?
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
We have no unfinished business, so we will move on to contracts and agreements. City of Madeira Beach Fire Station Settlement Agreement approval, and I will hand this to the city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, the city did file suit in 2023 against the contractor and the architect who built the fire station and the rec building as a direct result of some construction issues and design issues that we found. As a direct result of the filing of that lawsuit, the city staff, the city manager, and the fire chief and I, along with your attorneys that handled that litigation at Carlton Fields, were in 3 lengthy mediation sessions that took place, the last one of which took place on February the 4th. Since February the 4th, we've been trying to, we did come to a tentative settlement of the case on February 4th. We've been working on, since there are so many moving parts and so many people involved in litigation, it took us until now to complete the mediated settlement agreement. I have passed it out to you so that you do have that in your possession. It is a confidential settlement agreement. It does include a payment to the city, and it does include some repair work to be done on behalf of the city. So without getting into any further detail, I can tell you that I support this settlement agreement. The 2 attorneys that represented the city at Carlton Fields support the settlement agreement. I believe the city manager can speak for himself, is in support of this, and the fire chief is in support as well. So we're asking for your authority to have the mayor execute the mediated settlement agreement.
Do we have any public comment? Commissioners, comments?
I believe it's everything we spoke about. So I would,
Yes, this is everything we spoke about. Just wondering, as far as the defects that are there, what do we do? How do we handle that? Would this money be?
That will definitely come back to you. Once you have the money in your hands, then we'll probably have to have the city manager and the fire chief determine the next step that they want to take to make the repairs of the building. So it's probably going to require some specs to be created, put out to bid, and then completed by someone other than the individuals involved in constructing it this time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the mayor to approve the City of Madeira Beach Fire Station Settlement Agreement.
Second.
Second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Vice Mayor Kerr?
Yes.
Commissioner Gabayey?
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan? Yes. Commissioner Taglerini?
Yes.
Mayor Brooks?
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
Next on the agenda is new business. A, Resolution 2025-02, the BOC Policy Handbook. City Attorney?
Thanks, Mayor. I'm going to read this resolution by title only. This is Resolution 2025-02, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Madeira Beach, Florida, amending the Board of Commissioners Policy Handbook, repealing Resolution 2024-02, and providing for an effective date. That was a reading of Resolution 2025-02 by title only.
Do we have any public comment? Commissioners, comments?
Has anything changed?
The only thing that changed is the one item that we discussed, which was adding respond to public comment questions, and it is line 15 now, directly after correspondence, and then just a slight definition on what that means. And that was
Okay,
it.
Great.
Comments?
I move we approve Resolution 2025-02, Board of Commissioners Policy Handbook.
Do we have a second?
Second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Taglerini,
Yes.
Commissioner Gabai,
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kerr,
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
Next on the agenda is Resolution 2025-03, Pinellas County 2025 Local Mitigation Strategy. City Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor. This is Resolution 2025-03, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Madeira Beach, Pinellas County, Florida, adopting the 2025 Pinellas County Local Mitigation Strategy, repealing Resolution 2020-12, adopting the local mitigation strategy as the City of Madeira Beach Floodplain Management Plan, and providing for an effective date. That was a reading of Resolution 2025-03 by title only.
Do we have any public comment? Commissioners, comments?
I don't really have anything.
Comments?
I know.
No comments.
Do we have a motion?
I move we adopt the 2025 LMS plan.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I just want to clarify.
Sorry.
We're a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-03.
Sorry, I was reading the recommendations. I move that we adopt Resolution 2025-03, Pinellas County 2025 Local Mitigation Strategy.
Thank you.
Second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Taglerini,
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kerr,
Yes.
Commissioner Gabai,
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
Next on the agenda is agenda setting for the May 28th BOC Regular Workshop. City Manager?
Next commission workshop on May the 28th, beginning at 6 PM. The current items for that workshop are discuss the resolution 2025-04, adopting ceremonial items policy, give an update on the Johns Pass dredging, review a snack shack agreement, hopefully have a grant works for grant writing services agreement to review, discuss, interlocal agreement between Pinellas County and local governments for multimodal impact fee coordination, discuss impact fees. I think Mr. Murphy will be present. The monthly post-hurricane update, review, discuss the emergency operations plan, and review, discuss invitation to bid 25-06 for the BOC Street End project, award the recommended vendor. Invitation to bid 25-07 Military Court of Honor project, similarly award a recommended vendor, and discuss the city fitness center. And my apologies, I forgot to add one item. You are required to evaluate your city manager at that workshop as well. And my apologies, I didn't bring it up earlier, but I will provide you some of the criteria and that document that then can be discussed at the May 28th workshop. So that'll be city manager performance evaluation. That's all currently. Happy to, anything else?
Is that discussing the document or actually doing the evaluation?
The employment agreement for that was adopted earlier this year, just said to discuss and review performance evaluation. I'd have to look in greater detail. But
I just thought we did that privately.
I thought we did that
And-
one-on-one in the past.
That's why I'm wondering if it's an evaluation of what the city manager position is evaluated on. But you can clarify it later.
Well, the criteria, I mean, pretty much in the last couple of years, I've submitted
Yeah.
a couple of different evaluation documents to utilize, and we kind of stuck with one.
Okay.
That was my suggestion, is to provide you.
I just didn't, I'm not used to doing it in a public
We didn't
workshop.
talk about it last time publicly. We did not sit
was
up here.
one-on-one.
Yeah, we did not sit up here and browbeat you in front of everybody.
But you just wait.
It's on the agenda.
I'd like to add one.
Yes.
Multiple residents come up here tonight and talk about plan review time and what's sufficient, what manpower we have, what we need to do to outsource more, or if we need to outsource more and how we do that. So I'd like to have that as a discussion item.
I think that's a good subject.
We're gonna have a lot of permits coming down the line here in the coming months. We need to be staffed accordingly.
We have a lot now.
Yeah.
There are a lot in the queue right now.
It's not going to be
Yeah.
a fence gate or adding a water heater. It's going to be pretty intense.
Yeah, I agree.
So, okay. If we can get that on there, it'd be great.
Where did we leave off the key to the city?
That's, we're going to discuss that.
Are we?
Yes, that is the, I
That's
believe it
the
was
first item.
The first item.
Resolution 2025-04, adopting ceremonial items policy.
I see.
Mr. Trask has emailed that to all of you. So we will have that document to discuss any changes, reviews, et cetera.
Anything else?
No.
Did I ask for public comment?
Not yet.
I didn't think so. Do we have any public comment? I'm getting excited because we're almost to the end and it's still daylight outside. I'm so distracted.
We're not used to this.
No.
Workshops are a lot longer.
Yes. All right, then that'll be it. So next on the agenda is reports and correspondence. City Clerk, Board of Commissioners 2025 BOC meeting schedule.
Yep. Yeah, up on the screen and in your packet is the remaining meetings for this calendar year, the budget workshops, the regular meetings, commission workshops, and some of the holidays. So if you have any changes, please, now would be a good time if one of you would like to, something needs changing, this would be the time to review, discuss, and make any proposed changes if any are needed. Go ahead, Claire.
I just need the comment from the board, what they would like to do. If you would like to have the next state mandated continuing education and ethics webinar here. And that is Wednesday, July the 16th, 2025, from 10 to 3:30. And I did check with Megan Powers, and the day, we have both centers open. And I think the mayor had her thing with the community that morning, or?
It's at lunchtime.
Yeah, I think it's lunchtime.
It's a lunchtime, so we have an event from essentially 11:30 to 1:30 that day.
We can break during that time, probably.
I've done it both ways. I've come
be
in
online.
and sat at a table and did the presentation here, but I've also done it online. Personally, I get more out of it online, but either way.
So the mayor's conversation that day is at noon, and it is scheduled, it only lasts for an hour, is the time frame set is for 1 hour. So, I mean, if we did it in person, we break and don't we break for like an hour and a half anyhow?
Yes.
Yeah, we can. But it can be done that day in person, or as the
Or
Vice Mayor
online.
said, it can be online. And we can provide online really at
Anytime.
anytime at your schedules.
Yes.
I've done it both ways, and I don't mind either. Either way to me is fine.
And I can check to see what the break time is.
Well, are there other people who would attend besides just the five of us? Typically, there's other
Yes,
people.
we invite the other cities to come, and I know there's a couple of cities that's already asked us if we're having it. So we'll get, one was Seminole, and we'll get back with them.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it being offered.
That's fine.
I think it's great. I just put my 2 cents in.
Right.
No, it's especially if the surrounding cities are sharing and coming. I think it's great.
Yeah, I think we're the only city, I'm not for sure, from what I get from the other clerks, that we're the only ones that are offered in person for people to come and
Yeah.
do. And some people just learn better that way and than just watching
no,
it
I
online.
think it's a-
preference.
It's a great service. Maybe I'll come in person this time.
And
we have-
plus, we invite the planning commission and the
Yeah.
civil service.
Yeah, and that's good.
Because we all must know that type of law, you know, the
Absolutely.
ethics and public records, that's a state law that we all are aware of it.
July 16th, is that what it is?
It's July the 16th from 10 to 3:30, and like I said, during that time, we do have lunch break and morning break, and we'll provide food. The clerk's office will.
Yeah, Wednesday, July the 16th.
Yes, sir.
Great.
Thank you.
Do we have any public comment? We will move to the next item on the agenda, which is the Board of Commissioners 2025 BOC Meetings Report, January 1st, 2025 through April 30th, 2025. City Clerk?
I've got everything up to date through April the 30th, and I'll keep it up to date every month. And then at the end of the year, we'll have an annual. And if you see anything in there you'd like changing or whatever, I'm open to that because I'm here to please.
Do we have any public comment? Commission?
Good job.
Yeah, I like it. It's fun to read.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you, Clara.
You're very welcome.
Next on the agenda is the City Attorney.
The only thing I wanted to say is I appreciate your support on getting the fire station litigation done. It'll be nice to have that behind us and we can concentrate on getting the fire station repaired. So I appreciate your support in getting that mediation settlement signed. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Do we have any public comment? Commission? Comments?
Are we going to have an opportunity? There were two public comments at the beginning.
We're going to do that at the end.
Sorry.
It's item
Item
16.
16.
Thought you were getting ready to adjourn. Sorry.
Nope, not done yet. But thank you, Commissioner. Next on the agenda is the City Clerk's Report, May 2025.
Yes, I had provided a document, City of Madeira Beach brief history, and I hope everybody had an opportunity to read that. And then another document, history leading to the 25th anniversary of the City of Madeira Beach, Florida, because I know we had just recognized our 75th or 100th anniversary? 75th. So, and then the mayor had asked me to put this together. The City of Madeira Beach history of city managers. The first one was hired in 1953, and we still have one today, of course, to current.
Enjoyed reading that. Thank you, Clara.
You're very welcome.
Do we have any public comment? Commissioners? I like to read the history. I think it's interesting.
I was confused if Madeira Beach was 75 years old or 78 years old. I guess it's 78, right? And the only reason I was confused is because of those, what do you call the games that you play? It's got the holes.
Cornhole.
Cornholes, yes, it's at 75, so it must have been a couple years old, I guess, when we when we saw them.
We had a
Those
big
were from the
anniversary
party.
celebration for the 75 one. So a lot of us have those emblems.
Yeah.
Several people wore their shirts to the event. Thank you, Commissioner.
Next on the agenda is city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to remind again on May the 28th at 4 p.m., we will have our budget workshop for the fiscal year 2026 budget workshop at 4 p.m., followed by the regular commission workshop at 6 p.m., again on Wednesday, May the 28th. On Friday, May the 23rd, we will be participating along with our neighbor to the south, the city of Treasure Island, on their annual Walk to the Beach Day. So we encourage folks to come out between the events between 11 and 1 p.m. 11 and 1 or
3, isn't it 3?
I'm sorry, 1 to 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Excuse me, 1 to 3 p.m. We will have city staff and other volunteers out at 3 locations throughout the city, just encouraging, again, pedestrian, bicycling, safety, but we'll be on Gulf Boulevard at Madeira Way, 141st crosswalk, and then the 133rd crosswalk, right near someone's home. So please encourage folks to come out, walk out to the beach. We'll have some little giveaway items, and it will be quite noticeable on Gulf Boulevard. And also on June the 7th, just another event, Saturday, June 7th, we will have what the first midnight market is what we're calling it, and really the Pinellas Beaches Chambers, the host of the event here at our Rock Park from 5 p.m. till midnight. So encourage folks to come out, be dozens and dozens of vendors and some music and just lots of family and individual fun. So on Saturday, June the 7th. And we'll hear again next month, but July the 3rd will be our annual fireworks celebration here in Madeira Beach. So that'll be on Thursday, July the 3rd, as we've held each of the last 3 years on July the 3rd. And just the final thing, I want to congratulate all the graduates. May's graduation month, so and everyone from kindergarten all the way through college, graduate school. But I do want to mention and congratulate my own second daughter who's graduating high school on May 28th. So congratulations to my daughter, Angelina. And that's all I have, Mayor, Commissioner.
Do we have any public comment? Commissioners?
I have to say that for the budget meeting coming up, I work till 5 p.m., so I'll be coming in hot. I'll be coming a little bit late for that, but I'll be here before it's over and for the regular meeting.
Well, we'll try to finish early then.
Thank you.
Nice.
I
Nicely
can't help myself,
Nicely
Commissioner.
done.
Any other comments?
I guess tomorrow's FDM, right? That's St. Pete College. So
Yes.
anybody can attend that. I guess they have to register.
Yes. If you're not registered, you can't go. Okay, then next on the agenda is respond to public comments, questions. And if you don't mind, I'd like to start on the Sarah Nichols, the 522 Johns Pass Avenue. Robin, if you could speak to, for the commission, the comment about only one person in the city that can approve a permit, would you clarify that for the commission?
So
Because that's not really an accurate
statement. It's
fully.
Right. Under Florida statutes, under the Florida Building Code, we must have a certified building official whose signature is on every permit, that they are not necessarily reviewing the permit from beginning to end. They are not the only one that can issue the permit. It is their license certification to which all building permits are issued. We do have multiple people reviewing and issuing permits under that license. And we currently have a very good building official and interim basis because we have contracted with a firm called CAP Government. So they are providing our building official, an inspector, when we have more inspections, more than one inspector, and also plans reviewers. The resident, her comments actually came from the firm that we've contracted with who issued the comments on the permit. So we will make sure that they are aware that they need to complete the entire process so that the applicants are notified when changes occur, more information is requested, up to including everything is completed and the information. So it appears that they did not complete everything on the software when they completed the review.
So I would just like to say that I wanted to clarify that because a lot of times people think we could just go hire more building officials. But per Florida statute, we can only have one building official on staff. But we have brought in additional staff, reviewers and technicians to help. So there's other people that are doing the reviewing and all of that and issuing the permit. But at the end of the day, there's only one person who can sign off on your final. And I know that Kathy has been reviewing and working, and she's really done a fantastic job. I mean, if you're waiting on a permit, you probably cannot appreciate what she does. But I know from being involved with some of the residents that, you know, it isn't the job of the building official to go out and meet with a contractor and tell a contractor how to do their job. Number one, that is not the building official's responsibility. You should expect that your contractor would be competent and able to complete the documents that are required to pull a permit and would do that. However, that being said, there have been more than several instances where there have been issues with the way the documentation has been filed and the way that things have been done. And she has gone and spent not minutes, hours, sitting with contractors, going through the projects, helping them. City staff has also done the same thing. Our planning department has had contractors come in and sit in the conference room for hours and multiple times that they've sat together and gone through what they're doing wrong, what's required to get a permit. There's nothing new in what's required to get a permit in the city of Madeira Beach, but I do think that when they're looking at things, they're probably looking at them with a keener eye than maybe we have done in the past for various reasons. One of them being FEMA, that you want to make sure that everything that you're doing is compliant. But, and to remember that we did in the first 2 months of this year more permits than we do in an entire year. So when you look at the update that comes out from the city every week of how many permits are under review and how many we've issued, it is a ginormous undertaking. And as for, just to touch on the interlocal agreement, an interlocal agreement with, say, Pinellas County that would allow them to do our permits, they're no faster at issuing permits than we are. They have the same challenges, and the challenges are that you had, you know, if you were doing 10 permits a month before, now you're doing 1,000. Just the number and being able to hire people who are licensed. We've had a building official posted. It's very difficult to hire those people that are qualified and have the license. We have added with the CAP government that we've hired, that we got Kathy through our building official. Robin has brought on additional people, like I said earlier, and to just go back and remind all of us sitting here that in addition to that, we cross-trained other staff that is in the city to be able to do permit duties, and they are. What I did hear that I'd be interested to know is if Treasure Island is issuing a lift permit in 2 days, I'd like somebody to call them and ask them how they're doing it. Because if they are, And they could be, what are they doing that we could learn from? That's the part of working together as communities that I really think is important, because if another community is doing something right and it's working, then let's see what they're doing and how could we do that here and incorporate that. Because Treasure Island has twice as many residents as we do, roughly. So they obviously have a larger staff than we do. They have almost twice as many employees as we do, but they have wastewater treatment and all that kind of stuff. They have other things we don't have. They maintain the bridge and have a bridge tender and all. But, you know, if there is something that we hear from a resident that would be beneficial, I think it would be in our best interest to find out. And I know that Jenny and her staff have done those types of things, so I'll be interested to see how they're doing it and if we could learn from it.
So if we moved on from Sarah to the other one?
Well,
Or
I kind of touched
pulled them
on,
all
I
together?
pulled them together a little
Okay,
bit because that's where the comment on the 2 days came from. So I mean, I'd be interested. I know there's a lot of things you have to do, so I don't know. I can't conceive how you can do it in 2 days.
No.
But you, I'm not saying you can't.
But I will say, as far as elevating a property, what could possibly hold up the review process an extended period of time, other than just not being able to dedicate to go review that project? And I want to back up on that. If it's confined to lifting an existing home in an existing footprint, which you know you're already grandfathered in, could that permit, just like we qualify our ordinances or votes or whatever, qualify it to the structure so that the contractor can get started on the lift, and if they need to have an extra set of stairs that's in a right-of-way that is not, it is going to hold up the process, that we hold that piece separate, get the house in the air, and we'll have plenty of weeks to be able to figure out, do the stairs have to come up underneath the home, or does it have to be, or is it going to be okay to get a variance, or do they have to go sit down with a special magistrate, or whatever they have to do to get the stairs up to the electric panel or to the entry, or.
No, I agree.
But,
I agree.
But let's get everything moving.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. So I would imagine that in some fashion, that's probably what Treasure Island is doing. So that's what I'm saying. How are they doing it? What are they doing that's, you know,
Right, it should-
so that, how can you, I don't know, when you lift a house, do you have to do all the core testing and that you do when you build new? I'm not sure.
Some of that
Here's
has
some.
to
But
be done.
again, that would have to.
As long as it's there.
That would be, maybe it's a two-step process, just like the demo. There's a demo permit to come in and remove drywall, and then there's a demo permit to demo,
house down.
tear the house down.
No.
Maybe it's a two-step piece. You know, I don't know. I'm throwing around ideas, and I don't want to take away from our workshop.
Yeah.
But
But
these
that
are-
would
but
be
these are
good
the-
things to come back from
But at
those
least,
would be
I
good
mean, the house is
answers.
going to be
Yeah.
lifted
Yeah.
regardless, so let's get that, let's call it lift phase 1 started, and lift phase 2, actually getting all the soil reports and engineering reports and the engineering design on the pilings, if that's not already done, which it probably already is if they're applying, because I know they have to go through engineering for weeks before they ever apply, so if that's going to hold it up, okay, let's get phase 1 going and get phase 2 in the
So you
in
would
the
think,
in the queue.
right, you would think that by the time the homeowner is submitting for the permit, that all that stuff is done because they have to have it. So since they've got all
Right,
that
when they
done,
apply.
right, when they've got all that done, why is it taking us so long to push it?
Right.
Right, I get, right. So I think
Because
that
maybe
if-
that piece needs extra review, and maybe that piece needs weeks of review. I have no idea.
I don't either, but we'll
Right,
find
well,
out.
Yeah, and in the spreadsheet that we received back from community development, and as the vice mayor stated, every one of these, with the exception of the last four, submitted April 25th, May 1st, May 6th, and May 7th, there are multiple comments back to the application, to the applicant. And some of them, I mean, I'd have to look in greater depth, and we will, and reach out to each one of these to explain to the property owner, to explain where they are in the process. But some of these appear to be extensive comments, that some of these involve revisions. So revisions uploaded, revisions. So there's one that has no revisions. So that one should be proceeding much quicker, but it did have 23 comments back. So we'll take a greater.
But you understand what I'm thinking, though.
If they've met everything.
If there's 10 items that are going to get flagged, well, if 8 of those have to do with right-of-ways and you're lifting the building straight up, that should, maybe we need to break the process into 2. I don't know if that's feasible or not, but.
Having a better understanding of the process internally would help you understand, and
Yeah.
all of us as well.
And we have run.
Have to wait months.
And we have run, and I think these appear to be very knowledgeable companies in what they're doing, as opposed to, we've run into some companies that just didn't understand several, but, so it should be quicker. I agree with you, Vice Mayor, and we'll provide that, and we'll reach out to each one of these properties. As was stated, we currently have 20, and for the most recent 4 submittals, it's listed in the system as pending under review, but there are no other comments, so not sure if they have been reviewed initially or not.
Well, in the two on this sheet that was provided to us that are permits issued, the one for March the 28th, 2024, that was issued, that's pre-storm. And that's the date it was issued. So it could have been under review. You'd have to look for how many months. But that would have been at the beginning of last year. And then the November 24th issued,
Similar, I think.
I would imagine it had been in for quite some time prior to the storm. I'm almost certain, because I know that house, that they had been in for quite some time. So there really is a list here of not a single property that's had a permit issued to be lifted since the storm.
At post-storm, right.
Right. And so, to Vice Mayor Kerr's, I think it would be very good for us to understand that, and the community to understand. And if we have all of these properties that have all of these issues, are they consistently the same issues? So is that on us? Because if every contractor has the same issue, are we failing to ask for something we want? Because just because the contractor doesn't do it right doesn't mean he did it wrong. It can mean that we didn't ask for it correctly, and then we had a different expectation when we received the items. So
Good point. So who I directed Mr. Van Hove to follow up with you, Robin, but is that the right person?
Yeah, I mean, we'll provide them an answer tomorrow as to what the status is.
Okay, and some sort
And
of
all of
idea, yeah, what it should take, because people have to plan. Thank you.
I had a bunch of questions, but the two of you asked them for me, so I'm good. Thank you.
I gave you such a hard time, it's at least I could do. Any comments on those two items?
I have one question, Robin. When it comes to right-of-way use, have you seen a lot of comments for projects that obviously any project needs a right-of-way use permit? Is that separate, or is that together at Madera Beach?
For elevating or just
For
in
any
general?
project, in general.
But I guess, what do you mean right-of-way use to,
Generally, any work in a right-of-way,
well, they're not allowed to do work on the right-of-way.
well, they have to pull a permit, and then they are. You pull a permit to work in a right-of-way, then you build whatever you get permitted.
I don't,
I'm not sure a structure's on private property, it wouldn't be on the right-of-way.
Driveway is in a right-of-way. So when you
Yeah,
connect the
but I
driveway.
think that's implied that every property, a portion of it is on a right-of-way. They don't need a permit if they're redoing their driveway, it's just a driveway permit.
So it's
It is
one, so it's
given,
one permit issued for work on the property, which includes work in the right-of-way.
yes, yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess it's not listed because it's just, everyone's property is partially on a right, or almost all. There are some strange properties and parcels in every city, but yeah, we don't define or say you're allowed to work on the right of way. I think it's just implied. But I guess that's why I was saying if it's something, we don't allow somebody to go out onto the street. But if it's your driveway, your grass, you can do work on that, yes.
In some municipalities, right-of-way permit, work in a right-of-way requires a separate permit than working on the property. So I'm guessing that.
It depends what you're doing, I would say. If you're elevating your home or repairing or anything, it's implied that.
That's on the property.
Right.
No questions there. Mostly driveway and drainage, for instance, if you have to
Right,
connect.
but we give permits for that specific work, and the plans and the sketches, the drawings, have to identify what is private and what's public.
I'm just guessing that it's under one permit. Driveway and work on the property is under one permit. And the reason I brought that question is if sometimes driveway permit can take up time. So if that was going to be the case, I was going to see if we could separate the two permits, but it looks like it doesn't really, I mean, if it's not
It's
slowing
not
up.
an issue, yeah.
Yeah, if it doesn't slow up the process, then we can just continue with what we're doing.
No, we haven't done, do we have any public comment?
At this point in time, we're being told that everything has to go under one permit, and that it's not allowable to separate out permits. So if you want to do that, that's something you'll need to update.
It just depends what the work is, so.
All right, commissioners, do you have any more comment? I'm sorry, Bob.
I'm L013301 Golf Lane. So maybe one of the things you look into, and I'm just guessing here, don't know, and some of you might know because I've discussed this before. Could any of these delays be in multiple revisions, comments, be because things are so restrictive and so difficult to get done with how the code is written to lift the current houses? So just something maybe to take a peek into.
Any additional comments? Comments?
Excellent conversation.
Oh, yes. Then it is 7:12 and we are adjourned.